Good morning, gearheads. Welcome to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM. This is Jon Massengale. That is Murphy. Murphy's here. I don't know if there's Jonathan.
There he is.
And Bob Varsha's with us over Zoom. Good morning, Mr. Varsha. I'll let Jonathan get settled in. How are you, Bob?
Well, I'm doing okay. Another early hour, another warm day in prospect. I think my day would improve considerably if I had a lab like Murphy sitting at my knee like Jonathan does.
There you go.
Yeah. Murphy's a
looking
good boy.
A terrific race.
He's a good doggy.
I'm excited.
Singapore, baby.
Yeah, it's not just Singapore. The whole setup for today is, it doesn't get any better. A front row of the two rivals for the championship.
Yeah.
A second row where nobody would have predicted Hamilton would be there, but we've now got one of the greatest drivers of all time in third and motivated. And Ferrari, who were favorites going into this.
Yeah.
Right, top 10, but right at the back of the top 10. And I love it.
Right.
The whole setup is really good. And then you've got this, this track, which is Singapore. And it, too, is a bit of a bloody unknown quantity today with the possibility of more rain and the fact that it's been rubbered out because of the rain beforehand, and it's slippy.
Yeah.
Yep, and this track has a record of 100% for producing safety cars.
Yeah, I was
14 races, 14.
Well,
at least one safety car.
Yeah, I was going to make a bet on what lap it would be.
Well, apparently it's nice and warm out there, Mr. Medland. How are you, buddy?
I'm nice and warm. It certainly is. It's nice weather though at the moment. No clouds above us or anything like that. No threat of rain immediately, at least, which is a good thing because I seem to remember a few years ago when we had huge rain before that race start where the two Ferraris collided, along with Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton went on to win. And it was chaos at the start, to be honest. It kind of ruined what could have been a mega race, I felt. So I don't think we're going to have that again today. But yeah, to follow up on the safety car likelihood, we've had 11 different periods of safety car in the last 6 races here.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Hey, Chris, we're all just waking up over here in the morning. I know it's evening there for you. Anything breaking overnight for us?
Actually, no, not at this stage. We have had the info of the fact that Carlos Sainz doesn't need to take any sort of grid penalty. There's been a lot of work going on at Ferrari to repair that car after yesterday's crash, but the most important component that could have led to a grid drop, the power unit, that's okay. And then also the gearbox as well, been able to change for previously used spec. So no penalty for him. He will start 10th on the grid as I watch Kimi Antonelli doing some autographs. He's a very popular man in the middle of the paddock right now, and he hasn't even started the Grand Prix yet. So, yeah, that's been the hard bit of work. And then, obviously, a lot of attention and focus on whether today is the last day of Daniel Ricciardo as a Formula One driver.
Yeah, that's been the rumor, and who knows? I know Jonathan's been all over that story with Liam Lawson standing by at every Grand Prix, standing by.
I know who knows. I know who knows. Helmut Marko knows.
Yeah, that's true, Bob.
To be honest, I mean, it's that's what I don't like about Formula. Actually, Ted's notebook was very good this week because he got on his high horse like I will about the whole Ricciardo thing. It's like, why is Formula One so ridiculous? Just tell the guy. If you're done, you're done. What's more painful about this is he's probably one of the most popular drivers ever in Formula One. Fact. And he's done more for Formula One in his own way as a personality, way before Drive to Survive and all that sort of stuff. Daniel Ricciardo has been bouncing off the walls and been a fantastic driver with 8 Grand Prix wins, including Monaco. He's part of the establishment of the current era of Formula One and has made Formula One for us, much more palatable in so many ways. He's a great character. He will be sadly missed if he is going. And I fear that he is going, and I've said it myself. And I've been brutal. I've been saying, hey, time for a new brush, as it were. Time to sweep out the old and get in the new. And that feels terrible. I've known the kid since he was 15. In Formula BMW. It's
just a fact of life.
It's a fact of life. He's lost a little bit of pace. And he's just not cutting it. I mean, Tsunoda, he was 16th to Tsunoda's 8th, and frankly, that doesn't work. I'm just as hard on Perez. I really am. And
I've said the same thing about Logan Sargent. And
yes,
on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, it's probably a discredit to Formula One if Ricciardo's popularity or you brought up Sergio Perez, same thing. Mexico is 3 races away. Do you want to keep Perez on and, delay what is perhaps inevitable that he'll be released by the team just so you have a star in his home race? Is that something that should affect Formula One? And the second thing is, this prolonged agony doesn't do anybody any good.
That's the problem I've got with it.
Yeah, no matter what Ricciardo does in today's race, it's not going to change anything.
Nope.
You're either with us or you're not. So why drag this out? It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that is certainly something that's been said by Daniel himself yesterday. He kind of hinted at maybe a statement would have helped or something just to kind of clear it up. Whether it's to say, no, that's not a decision that's been taken, and we're going to talk after the race. Whether it was to say, yes, actually, this is it, so he knows that it's it. Who knows in that sense what the actual statement would have involved. But the fact that he doesn't know and that he's still there kind of trying to gee himself up for a race that's going to be very tough from where he's starting as well, I think it's sad. I think for a lot of people, at the very least, feel like he deserves a proper send-off if and when his time comes to be properly off the grid. He almost got it at the end of that McLaren run, but you could tell that there was part of him that may well be coming back, and we weren't too sure. I feel like now this will be it for Daniel in F1 if he leaves the RB setup. So I hope that there's clarity very soon. I think that's the only way it's fair on both sides, both Lawson and Ricciardo. But also that from a personal level, as much as I can't wait to see Liam get his chance, I'd like to see Daniel see out the season, even though he knows he will be going, so that he can have that kind of farewell and that he can soak it in a bit as well. I mean, you look at when Alonso first retired, look at when Seb left the sport.
Yeah.
Those are world champions, and Daniel never quite got to that level, but I feel like they deserve it. I might actually put this question slightly to Laurent Mekies, the team principal who's just walked out. And Laurent, sorry to start on this topic. We're talking Daniel, we're talking his future. How distracting has it been for the team to have all this speculation about Daniel and Liam this weekend?
Well, I think the first thought is for Daniel because he has had a lot of that this season. Some races it's been quiet, some races it's been very difficult. This is for sure one of the very difficult races. Of course, these guys, they are high-level athletes and they know how to deal with it, but sometimes it's a bit unnecessary.
Do you think it maybe has also contributed to where he's ended up? I mean, it was a high-pressure session yesterday, very close, and he didn't quite get out for Q1.
If you look at the global pictures, for sure, it's as much as we like to think that it's not a distraction, it's always taking a little bit of energy out of you. And when everything is so tight, Daniel was super fast this weekend all the way through. Didn't get an ideal session with the soft, and when everything matters, a 10 there and a 10 there, where we for sure cannot forget about the particularly difficult context he had this weekend.
Yeah, and it sounds like a clear decision will be made after this race before Austin. How much are you looking forward to having that and being able to, I guess, move on from this kind of uncertainty?
There is nothing wrong with reviewing your driver's performance every few races, and I think we have been perhaps a bit too public about it. We have done it in the first part of the seasons. We have done it quite famously just before the summer break. I guess at some stage we have said, we will sit after Singapore as well to discuss. So it's part of the game. Certainly, sometimes you can see it's probably going a bit too far in terms of pressure. Above all, for Daniel in that case.
Yeah, well, let's try and finish then on a positive note because the team's looking resplendent in this new Hugo denim livery, and you've got the T-shirt on here in front of me. But you've also got a car starting in the top 8 in Yuki. How excited are you to see what he can do today, and what's the target?
Look, it was a very strong performance yesterday. To be P8 or to be Q3, we benefited from the Ferrari situations, but to be top 8 or top 10. It's the first time since Budapest before the summer shutdown. So it's been a lot of work back at the factory to try to get the car back into that sort of positions, including at the end of the season where everybody has been catching up, etc. So that's very good. It's going to be a hell of a fight today, no questions. It remains to be seen if we're able to have the same sort of edge on the long run on the race stream. But it's going to be a crazy fight. It's going to be a crazy fight from now to the last lap of Abu Dhabi, probably for the 6th place. There is 3 or 4 teams targeting it, and it's only going to be the beginning. So it's going to be an interesting data point for us. But overall, it's fight, but inches by inches, point for point. So that's what we'll be gearing for.
Well, good luck and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That was brilliant timing there, Chris.
Good interview.
Yeah, and I'm just
I wandered down there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and by the way, just if you are listening and it's this early in the morning, just hang on a minute. we bring up the subject and then we go to the managing director or the team principal of the team and ask him directly what the hell. And
yeah,
so
not
well
bad,
done.
Chris. Well done, exactly.
That's right.
All right,
You
I'll
don't
go
get
sit
that
down now for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Take the rest of the day off, my friend.
Well, look,
Oh, boy.
it is a shame. You're right, and I think what Chris said really to me hits home the most. It would be great if he could finish the season because of what you said.
Yeah,
and
who
that
he is. Yeah,
who he is and what he's done for the sport. But you know what? This is
unfortunately it's a
this
brutal
is our
sport.
sport. This
Yeah.
is our brutal sport.
Yeah,
so.
I got to say, I was trying to think of an analogy, like American football or soccer or whatever. And to be honest, it's pretty much the same in most top line sports. To be honest,
It's true. Yeah.
It is the way of professional sport. 1 minute you're the hero, the next you're zero, and unfortunately, that's the way it goes. There's no room for empathy, really. And either you're cutting it or you're not cutting it. It's the end of the the end of the game.
All right. Well, I want to shift topics. I want to get something out of the way because I want to talk about the penalties for cussing now in Formula One.
Do we have a high horse that we could ride in on? Because I'm ready.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, get me on there too.
I don't think there's going to be room on this horse.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Greeny.
Yeah. I'm fed up with all of this. You've got the world champion. I mean, this is even more important. I mean, we talk about leaving Ricciardo high and dry. I'm not happy about any of this. The guy swears. It's his second language. Sure, he shouldn't do it in a press conference. Fine. But community service, the one thing that Formula One drivers don't have is time.
Yeah. So
fine him, give it to charity, give it to a worthy cause, whatever you want to do. Other sports have done it better. And then Suleiman then does a racial slur. So the head of the sport finishes this whole weekend off with a racial slur about rappers, right? In other words, we're not rappers. And of course, quite rightly, Lewis Hamilton says it's us and them, as in other words, rappers are the people that swear, and therefore we shouldn't be like them. And frankly, that is a far worse thing than anybody swearing. Your kids swear. You're gonna hear swear words. It's a fact of life. Sure, should you be using swear words all the time? Should I use a swear word now? No. But at the same time, get some perspective here. And now you've got the world champion, the most important man in Formula One. And Nico Rosberg said this on Sky. It's like, hey, he's the world champion. Give him some deference here because he's the most important person to your sport. And sure, he dropped an F-bomb. And by the way, talking about his car, not about somebody else. It wasn't a slur. It wasn't a go at somebody. And so, frankly, the FIA, again, have shot themselves in the foot, and Ben Salomon has made a racial slur, not intentionally, I may add. He was just trying to create an analogy of, hey, guys, we're not rappers. And, which, fair enough. Rappers, if you've ever listened to any rap songs, there's a lot of swearing. I get it. But you can't use that as a public expression to to talk about your top driver. And frankly, it's out of whack. It's totally wrong. And we've fallen foul to this. We are in a PC world right now. And we as commentators in sport are even held more accountable now than the politicians that we vote for, who seemingly get away with all sorts of stuff. And yet here we are talking about, community service. I mean, really, it's just pathetic, I think. So there's my high horse. I've got on it.
It's certainly nothing new. I mean, back in 1989, when Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna had their much infamous collision at Suzuka, Japan, Senna got out of the car, and at the next race, he didn't get out of the car. He got back on track, won the race, was disqualified for getting outside assistance. At the next race in Australia, he had a press conference in which he just exploded. He could barely contain his anger. I was in the room. He was just trembling with anger and dropped several F-bombs. At that point, Jean-Marie Balest, who was the president of the FIA, or FISA, it was then known, banned him, said Senna's not going to get a license to race Formula One next year in 1990 unless he apologizes, which in due course he did, in much the same way as Max Verstappen conducted his press conference after being sanctioned. He just, gave very short answers. And when asked why, he said, because I don't want to get fined or punished again. Senna eventually did apologize. I used to have a copy of that around. It was on McLaren letterhead. It was a one-sentence apology, and he got his license and off they went. So, this has been going on for a long time, this clash of cultures. How much do we let, as you pointed out, Jonathan, what we all know is out there in the world, how much we let that mix with the world as we want to see it, rightly or wrongly, for whatever reason. Do people swear? Do people use F-bombs all the time? Yeah. I mean, and I've always thought, as you do, Jonathan, we are a very puritanical society.
Yeah.
We all know what people do behind closed doors and under the covers and all that kind of stuff. Certain elements of the culture, like hip-hop music, bring that out. I mean, look at television right now. You try to stream a show, you're going to get F-bombs left, right, and center.
Exactly.
Does that mean it's okay? No. Yeah. Does that mean the sport has a right to police itself and try to create itself in the image that it thinks it should have? Yes. But to then fight over it in public, and put the world champion, as you say, the number one personality in the sport, in this light. And now you got a stalemate. You got fellow world champion Lewis Hamilton saying, I hope Max ignores the punishment. Don't do any community service. Not that anything specific was recommended.
Chris, what do you think?
The drivers, I think, are totally.
Sorry, Bob.
Well, so it was really telling yesterday because obviously I was on air with you guys, so I missed the press conference itself. And the way Max went about it seemed remarkable. So I've got Luke Smith here from The Athletic was in that press conference where Max didn't say a lot. And then I think you asked him a question, Luke, about his car. He's like, I wish you'd asked me outside. How bizarre was it having a driver that didn't want to talk at a press conference, then really wanted to talk outside those doors?
Yeah, very strange. Like, I've never experienced anything like that in my time in Formula One. And it was very clear the point he was making. He said to Tom Clarkson, the host, this isn't against you, don't worry. And then was really actually gracious with us to say, look, I will talk to you outside this room. And he made good on that. He immediately tried to get us outside, then was told he had to go to the media pen. So he was like, fine, we'll walk and talk. And to have this throng of about a dozen journalists just all trying to gather around him as he was walking down the paddock, getting his thoughts on a very serious issue. Yeah, really, really weird. And I think just a very good way for him to make his point. And I think afterwards, you got to admit, very clever. He didn't break any rules with what he was doing.
Yeah, he always knows how to push the limits, does Max, does he, as well? But do you agree with him? Because we're on our high horses here. What's wrong with the swearing?
Yeah, completely. Like, I get the point the FIA is trying to make, and you don't need to swear. Like, you don't need to curse in that moment. But what he said wasn't actually about anyone or any like community or anything like that. It was about his car of all things. So if anyone's going to take issue with that, surely it's Red Bull. Like, come on. So yeah, I get what they're doing. They're trying to make a point, but the way they've gone about it, it's only made the problem worse. And I'm really curious if Max in the top 3 later, like, how is he going to appear in that press conference? Is he going to do the same thing again? Is it going to be like this to the end of the season? I'm really curious. It's a great story, whichever way you look at it, though.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's dropping F-bombs left, right, and centre in the press conference and he's in the top 3. So we'll see how that goes. Luke, thanks very much for your time for explaining that. He was, it's the sort of realm I would normally be in that press conference in the past. So I totally missed it. I sat down after we got off air and everyone's like, did you see what happened? I'm like, no. So unfortunately, I got shown it all. Remarkable stuff. But as Luke says, I think Max handled it brilliantly because he was so good to everyone. He was so open, honest, said, look, it's nothing at any of you. Said it's not to do with the stewards. They're just following orders.
Yeah.
But what we're really seeing here, and this is a very strange kind of sideshow of the whole thing, it's another Formula One versus the FIA battle. And it's the FIA that have got involved through Ben Sulayem going, I want the drivers to keep it clean in their language. So what I really want is Formula One not to broadcast those radio messages when they swear.
They don't.
Formula One are going, it's great entertainment. It's honest. It's, well, they beat them out, but you know what I mean. They'll play the radio where drivers like, this is effing rubbish, whatever. And they're going, well, this is raw, this is authentic, this gets you closer to the sport, this is great. And the FIA, or Ben Sulayem's going, I don't want that swearing happening. He's trying to tell Formula One how to run their broadcast, and it's not his place to do that. So he then went and said to the drivers, could you please not swear so much? That's how I'll get this to stop. And they're like, are you kidding? Get them to stop broadcasting it if you don't like it. So essentially, the drivers got pulled into the middle of this. It's a pointless fight. I think we need to celebrate authenticity, honesty, that raw emotion. When we mic up players in other sports, I think it's great. You get legitimately what it's like. And hey, the world's a big, scary place. Everyone doesn't walk around and go, sorry after you, especially in elite sport. And, you know, people sometimes, even kids need to be aware of that. They need to know it's going to be tough at times. So I think this is a stupid argument that's being had now. And I'm fully on this front. I'm fully on Team Verstappen for the way he handled it and the point he's making. And I'm glad the other drivers, as you say, Lewis and Lando, both backed him as well.
Chris, I love what you said about the authenticity, because that's been my whole problem with it, is that this is the way to show the passion of the sport to the television audience. They're showing exactly what the drivers are feeling and thinking. And I just hate the fact that they're trying to remove that, because I think it's one of my favorite parts of the sport, honestly.
But like I said, the FIA have made it worse. I mean, which is worse, your kid swearing or your kid making a racial slur intentionally? Yeah, right. Hey, we do have the Sky conveniently put some clips of that press conference up on Twitter, and Casey's prepared that for us. So let's play that real quick, Casey.
I'm answering. It's not a lot. Problem with my voice.
Can you elaborate in terms of what you do?
No, I might get fined or get an extra day. So.
Well, look, are you confident, Max, with the race pace?
Maybe.
I mean, how much of a step into the unknown is the race, given the problems you had yesterday in practice?
It's an unknown.
Lando and Lewis, what do you think about Max being given community service effectively for what he said on Thursday?
I deserved it. Foul language, so I think it's pretty unfair. I don't agree with any of it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a joke, to be honest. This is the pinnacle of the sport. Mistakes are made. I certainly wouldn't be doing it, and I hope Matt doesn't do it.
Talk about the community service.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like
Lando,
I said,
by the way, was laughing the entire time at Max. Yeah.
Right.
He couldn't keep a straight face.
Yeah.
And also, the punishment is wrong. It should be, look, we've seen this in American football. We've seen this in soccer. People get,
We've seen this in the office, but you have a swear jar.
Yeah, right.
Throw in
and
a dollar.
So, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, community service, that takes time and money. And that's something that, I mean, money doesn't matter, right, to these Formula One kids, and certainly to the sport. So, find a charity that you want to give the
sure.
Find them 100,000 for all I care. That doesn't matter. It was wrong. He's apologized for it. It's done. Like I said, I'm not going to stop this. Ben Sulayem is the one at
Who
fault
messed up.
here.
Yeah. All right, well,
and that
guys,
is, of course, the president of the FIA.
Yes.
Yes. Well, all right. I'm ready to talk some racing. I think this is, I think that, yes, it's been fun and entertaining watching Max and Lando and all that, but it's all silly. So I'm ready to move on. Hey, we do have Chris Medland. Chris, if anybody wants to get a great preview of the race, they can always go to f1.com and look at your article that's what to watch for. But I think number one on your list that you put on f1.com is Lando Norris and Max Verstappen off the line. I mean, you set it up at the very top of the show, Jonathan. That's got to be one of the most exciting things to think about today, right?
For me, yeah, because as we know, the Achilles heel of our pole position man is that he hasn't managed a first lap from pole, 6 poles in so far, and he hasn't led any of them. So that's his Achilles heel. Mm-hmm. Luckily for him, Singapore is a short run.
Sorry, Johnny.
Go ahead.
Talking about what this race will be like, let's talk strategy with Mario Isola. And Mario, it sounds like most teams are leaning towards a pretty comfortable one-stop today. Do you see anything kind of mixing that up?
Not really, because if there is no safety car or virtual safety car, losing 28 seconds for an additional pit stop is not an option. So medium hard is the quickest on strategy. Soft hard is possible if you want to shorten the first stint and maybe avoid the traffic. Or if you start from the back, you have also the option to start on the hard, being more flexible if there is a safety car, and then you can decide to move on the soft or the medium.
Could the medium essentially do the entire race distance here if you needed to manage it?
The medium, the entire race, no. For the hard is probably not the entire race, but most of the race is possible. And they have also the majority of the drivers decided to return all the medium and all the hard. So they have only one set of hard, one set of medium, except Sauber and Colapinto with 2 sets of medium. That means if there is a late safety car, they have to move on the soft, and it will be interesting.
Will be very interesting. Just finally, we were just talking about the start of the race and Lando Norris versus Max Verstappen. Depending on the tyre compound you're on here, it's a short run to turn one. What's kind of the difference between soft and medium? Is it big enough that if the two drivers are on different compounds, we could see a change?
It's probably around 1 to 2 meters, so I'm not sure that it's really making a difference.
Okay, so it's not so crucial for those top two today.
No, but if one of them decides to start on the soft, it's important because he has to stay in the lead to manage the pace and avoid overstressing the soft. Otherwise, the race is damaged.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see. Thank you very much for that, Mario. So that was when he said 1 to 2 meters. He's talking about the kind of advantage you would get in terms of how much quicker you would get to turn one from your starting position if you were both starting in the exact same spot on either the soft compound or on the medium compound. So I think we're going to see most of the top 10 on the mediums, but every time I say something like that, I'm normally proven totally wrong.
Hey, maybe Ferrari starting 9th and 10th might split it up or something.
I'm interested to see how they will start. Yeah, those two especially.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Bob?
Yeah, they could be guys who go for the hards.
Yeah. There's so much to talk to Mario Isola about. I mean, the whole business of George Russell saying, you know, the tires are inconsistent and they're too difficult. Yeah, I'd like to know what Mario had to say to George about that whole thing. What's the difference? I mean, the tires are made to be different, hard to medium to soft. I assume Russell's talking about something further, whether one set of mediums to the next aren't what he was expecting, in which case he may have an argument. Otherwise, this was the whole point of having different compounds and requirements that you use them.
I like to see Checo say, Mario, hold my beer, and start from 13th on the medium or hard and go the whole race. Let's see that.
Go ahead.
Well, funny you should say that. I am stood right in front of Checo's car right now. I came to his grid slot, and as Red Bull were pushing it down the grid, they were about to miss his grid slot. One of the mechanics had to wave them down and be like, no, we're in here. And of course, Checo's form's been picking up, and he had a really good outing in Baku last time. And I think they were heading far further down the grid with him, and then realised, no, we must stop here because we're back in 13th place. And the guys wheeling the car laughed about it, that they'd nearly missed it. But he's a long way back here. I think we will see him do something different. Absolutely think starting on the hards could be the way to go. He's got the Ferraris ahead of him as well, but not far ahead, so he could quite quickly get boxed up behind them if he's not careful. And in that case, if you've got something different with the hard, you then try and run longer. But I actually think that Ferrari scenario makes Checo's life even harder because he's not going to be so far offset for some other quick cars. He's likely to be, we're one row behind the first Ferrari. If they do the same thing and they start on the hards trying to do something different, then he's in the back of a train of cars all doing the same thing again. So it won't be easy for him in that sense. And I think it was one of those days where it's really compounded the error and the challenge he had. It's the fact that then Ferrari had a bad day, and it's actually put them right in his window to do what he wants to do.
All right, well, let's get a quick break in, and when we get back, we'll be less than 30 minutes from the Singapore Grand Prix. Back after these messages.
That's a top draw first.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work for a first segment. Let's see who's on the YouTube right now. We got TW, Mike Bowles, Paul Veltum. Good morning, gents. Kevin Kelly, and Mike Bowles out there.
Poor Mike Bowles still stuck in Florida, poor man.
Yeah, apparently so. Mike, did you not get a fresh set of tires on the rig to get those Corvettes delivered? He's on his second cup of coffee. TW says it's happy hour in Thailand.
Well, now that's where we should be. By the way, have you seen Albon's helmet?
Happy hour here if you were here as a fan.
That's true. Albon's helmet's pretty cool.
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, it's very cool. He's got the old Thai lion on it. Yeah, I was showing it off yesterday. And I saw his dad, Nigel, was on camera.
Yeah. Kevin Kelly says, how about the new RB Haas and Williams battle for 6? Yeah, we talked about that a little yesterday, and we'll definitely talk about that today because that's
big one.
Man, that is right in there.
And look where Hulkenberg is. Hulkenberg's 6 on the grid.
Perfect.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Breaking up the big four.
Let's see if I can
Chris.
Him. I don't know if he'll chat.
Hey, Chris, who's the hot helmet designer these days?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot, actually. They've all got, there's probably 4 or 5 strong ones. There's one. A guy called Miles Murphy does a company called MDM Design. So he works on like Lando and Oscar, Alex as well. Although Alex's design, I believe this one came from a Thai designer. I think he wanted to kind of do something local. So the drivers now, what's great is they're giving this flexibility. I know iconic helmet design is always great, but I think we found that if you lean more into, let them express themselves a bit more at different races, we do get some really cool talking points. So as we're just having right now. So yeah, they I don't think they always stick rigidly to the same person either.
All right, coming back.
Hello to everyone, this is Gunther Steiner, this is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
It's funny, we spent the first 20 minutes of the show talking about F-bombs, and we never mentioned Gunther Steiner one time. The king.
I mean, I would have fucked the whole paddock.
To be honest, isn't that the irony?
Yeah.
Why is he popular?
Right. Yeah. You could make the whole argument that this wave of popularity is based on that one clip of Gunther Steiner standing by the truck in Drive to Survive telling Gene that we look like a bunch of effing wankers, you know? Yep. So, I mean, that's
why isn't wanker a bad word?
It might be.
Say, is that just got us in trouble with the FIA?
Yeah, maybe so. Jeez. All right, let's talk some more racing. And we were talking about the tires with Mauro Isola and how that could affect everything and where everybody's starting. But also, I mean, look, we've got Kevin Kelly brought it up during the break on YouTube. It's like we got a great battle for this second half of the midfield with Haas, RB, and Williams. I mean, Greeny, you got to be excited about that one.
The whole thing, the whole grid is really exciting. I mean, you've got 3 of the, basically, I would say the top 3 drivers in the world are 1, 2, and 3 right now. And then you've got Mercedes, George Russell just behind Lewis Hamilton, and then Oscar Piastri, 2 of the most absolutely top drivers on the way up, trying to vie for being the top 3. And they've got a good chance. And Ferrari could come forward. They should come forward.
Bob, why don't you set it up with your grid and let's break it down after that.
I was about to say, well, I guess I don't need to do my grid anymore. Jonathan just did it. But okay, let's run it down. Starting with row 1, of course, P1, Lando Norris and the McLaren. 5th pole of the season for the points runner-up, just 59 behind Max Verstappen. He was nearly a second and a half quicker than last year's pole, which was also set by a Ferrari. In fact, Lando's breakthrough for McLaren ends a run of Ferrari pole sitters in Singapore going back to 2019. P2, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. As Jonathan said, you can't ask for more than the top 2 title contenders side by side at the front. Credit Max with a phenomenal effort in a car that was nothing like a front runner through practice on the only current track where the triple world champ has yet to win a race. Row 2, Lewis Hamilton starts P3 in the Mercedes. He complained constantly about the car balance in practice. The 4-time Singapore winner even predicted he wouldn't make Q3. Talk about bowling your rivals a googly, I think.
Sorry, Bob. You know I always cut you off if you start
That's good.
the grid. And I
That's
got
good. Googly.
here by his pole-sitting car, Lando Norris's car here at the front. How pleased are you, Zach, that Lando came out here after a frustrating qualifying in Baku and basically showed everyone how it's done?
Yeah, he's been awesome all weekend. So now we got a race to go. I think the car is very strong. I think Oscar's faster than he qualified. He had a small mistake in Q3, so hopefully we can get him up here, and it's going to be an exciting race, I think, just like last year.
Bit disappointing that the car of your shoulders are Red Bull and it's Max Verstappen behind the wheel.
He's never a fun guy to go racing against because he's so fast. But I'm a little surprised the Ferraris aren't up here. But it's a long race, and usually a safety car, so I kind of wouldn't rule anyone out at this point.
Is the big nervous point for you this first lap? 1, just Lando getting it done, being in the lead at the end of the first lap on the track that's tough to overtake. But 2, these are the 2 title rivals, and they're going to be fighting hard.
I'm always nervous at the start of these races, regardless of where we are and who we're next to. So just another race, but it's exciting, and hopefully we'll have a good one.
All right. Well, what do you think Oscar can do from P5?
Oh, I think he's definitely on for a podium.
1, 2?
I hope so.
We'll replay that to you later. Thank you. I love to get
well done.
predictions.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Okay, continue. P4 is George Russell in the Mercedes, just 26 thousandths of a second behind Hamilton and tied on points with Sergio Perez with 143, 7th place in the standings. The equally vocal boy about how bad the Merc package is here, Russell sat down with Pirelli to dissect the tires, which he condemns as inconsistent. Row 3, P3, Oscar Piastri in the McLaren. You've been talking about him, or you've heard about him. The winner a week ago in Baku. McLaren had another provisional front row lockout in Q3 when the final push laps unfolded, only to see Piastri bumped by Verstappen, Hamilton, and Russell. P6 is Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas. Let's hear it for the Hulk. The American cars have been visibly quicker since the summer break, and now Nico regularly threatens the top 10 starting spots. I wonder if he's rethinking that switch to Sauber for 2025. Row 4, P7, Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin. More Spanish castle magic from the oldest driver in the field, taking the Aston to places it hasn't been going much of late. A 2-time winner here in Singapore, but also the highest-ranking driver in the championship who has yet to reach the podium this season. P8, Yuki Tsunoda in the RB ended a string of frustrating Q1 failures with a P8 start, though due largely to trouble suffered by drivers from 3 of the 4 big teams. Row 5, there they are. P9, Charles Leclerc from the Ferrari. Can you start top 10 and still be an underperformer? Well, thy name is Ferrari. Quickest or thereabouts in every practice session, only to come up short when it mattered. A track limits violation was Leclerc's undoing, but his deleted lap time would have only have been good enough for 7th on the grid anyway. P10, right next to him is his teammate, Carlos Sainz, who was kind enough to let Piastri go by on a hot lap, then nailed the gas, hit a bump in the final corner, and spun backwards into the fence. Still, that's 7 different teams represented in the top 10. Chris, do you need time?
I nearly was going to grab Mark Cavendish, but he's certainly leaving the grid because there's a lot of people here that are finding it too hot to be standing around outside too long. So, tell you what, I'll see if I might interrupt you again in a sec. I'll tell you what, I'll interrupt you with Jack Doohan because he's a Formula 1 driver as well. Jack, this is hot out here. You're not even in a race suit. I mean, how much are you looking forward to having to get yourself fit to do this next year?
Mate, I'm stoked, to be honest. I want to be making the most of this, embracing it, really making the most out of the heat. Any disadvantage also approaches an advantage. So I'm super keen, dude.
Going to be a tough race for your boys though today, do you think?
It's going to be tough for everyone. I think these conditions are not easy, not only on the drive, but the car. So let's just hope that we stay in the mix, and I think opportunity will present itself. Cheers, mate. See you later.
Mark Cavendish is there, the Tour de France superstar.
Yeah.
Wow,
Absolutely.
He knows
the
what
most
it's like.
successful cyclist in the Tour de France history in terms of stage victories.
That's right, 35.
Right. The sprinter par excellence. Yeah. Love watching his finishes. Hey, I covered the Tour de France one year. Anyway, you've heard the top 10. Here's the backside 10. Row 6, P11. Alex Albon in the first of the Williams. Another 2x2 lineup of teammates, in fact, because Colapinto's right there with him. Call Albon a slight disappointment.
Sorry, you're
Watch
all
your
stopping
mic,
for
Chris.
me, aren't you? You can hear that I'm trying to make this happen. So sorry, guys. This is the brutality of a live grid sometimes.
That's okay.
And I'm told that Cap needs to get somewhere quickly. So I'm hoping that I will help him get there quickly. But
okay.
Also, Bob, it wouldn't be your grid if I wasn't interrupting.
No, that's true.
Really,
You carry
let's be
on,
honest.
Chris. Don't change the habit of a lifetime.
So,
Well, yeah, right, Chris. Just walk alongside of him, and but just be aware that he's going to have a burst of speed at the end.
Yeah, is he wearing yellow? Is that why he's in a rush?
He's not wearing yellow, but I tell you what, he is wearing green, and he is also. You've got Mark Cavendish. Sorry, you're live on the radio across North America, and you seem to know a lot of people on this grid. Well, man of the world. That's good. Like a lot of people ride bikes, friendly. I'm very lucky. I know a lot of people. No, I don't. And you're here with Aston Martin, I see, Brucey, for Fernando Alonso today. Yeah, he did well in Q3 yesterday, and hopefully it's super good. And here with Aston Martin, they're great, and there might be a little announcement next. Well, I'll let you get off. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know what he just said, everybody.
He said there's an announcement coming.
Right. I wonder if he was afraid he was going to get sanctioned for something that he spoke too long.
Replacing Stroll.
Anyway. Right. Fernando Alonso used to have his own cycling team, you may know.
That's right.
Anyway, there's Alex Albon. You've heard about Franco Colapinto starts the other Williams, P12, right next door. Another impressive run for the Argentine driver, just 7 thousandths of a second behind his veteran teammate. And here's the kicker. He does not have the latest Williams upgrades on his car, but Albon does.
Oh, controversy brewing.
Okay, next row. P13, Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. 1 week following maybe his best race of the season, cut short by a crash in Baku, Perez is back to his recent slump, failing to advance out of Q2. P14, Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, back from his one-race ban for excessive penalty points. With a clean penalty slate and lacking a drive for next season, the Dane said he was ready to cause chaos on the track once again. And I think he was kidding, but we're about to find out. Row 8, P15, Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. Another team complaining of inconsistent grip and car balance session to session. The Frenchman is just 1 point behind Magnussen for 17th in the standings, both chasing Ollie Bierman, who's only driven in 2 races for 2 different teams, a series record that may never be broken. P16, Daniel Ricciardo in the RB, and what's widely rumored to be his final race for the team. Danny Rick needed to qualify well, and he didn't. When asked for his thoughts afterwards, he replied, "I don't want to do community service," so no comment. If you know, you know. Row 9, P17, Lance Stroll in the second Aston. Could the memory of his massive shunt last year here in Singapore, one that caused him to miss the race, have been on the Canadian's mind? Either way, he simply never got into the rhythm of the circuit in qualifying. P18, Pierre Gasly in the Alpine, another driver scratching his head over an unpredictable race car. Row 10, P19, Valtteri Bottas in the Sauber. Another guy who'd like to get Mark Cavendish's autograph, I suppose. Big cyclist is Bottas. The boys in black are at the back once again, counting down the races till they can go find something else to do, like ride a bike. P20, the Zhou Guanyu in the Sauber, who has started outside the final 5 on the grid just twice this season. And there you go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Varsha. Chris, we just saw Lenny Kravitz getting interviewed by Martin Brundle.
I've got to get away.
So there's your next target. I know you're at the anthem is going on right now. So go ahead. Go ahead, Bob. What's that?
Are you going to go my way?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they could have got, yeah. I thought maybe get Lenny Kravitz to do the anthem.
Well, that would be good.
That would be awesome. All right, so what else? Let's see. We're talking 59-point lead for Max. Lando trying to cut into that. And we're also looking at the Drivers' Championship, of course, with McLaren ahead by a mere with 3:13 to no, not that's driver. Sorry, a very slim margin on
8 points.
Yeah, I was going to say
in the constructors. Yeah, I'll tell you what. The first 100 meters is going to be could prove hugely pivotal in the whole championship.
Yeah.
If things go wrong between the top two, and B, whoever gets to the first corner first could really make a dent in two ways. One, if it's Lando, he could make up some points. Two, if it's Verstappen, he could consolidate the position he's in, which he's managed to do really well. Remember, he won 7 of the first 10 races.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's crazy to think about right now. Looking back, it seems like a different season, doesn't it?
It does.
Guys, I've got to say, guess what is blaring out as the first song over the tannoy after the national anthem is played?
I've got to get away.
Lenny Kravitz?
Oh, you got to go my way. It's right now blaring out across the station.
That's perfect.
Great minds think as one.
Yeah, they got the camera on Lenny Kravitz right now.
He's a star. I love him.
That's great.
I've never heard a bad word said about
Someone
Lenny
had
Kravitz.
a word with a DJ.
Yeah, exactly. I almost feel like we should take a break so Casey can play the same song. But we're okay for the time being. So, what else, Bob? What else are you looking forward to today?
Now Kylie Minogue is beating Daniel Ricciardo on the grid.
There you go.
He's walked past him. Wow.
Nice.
What a miss of 2 legendary Aussies.
Yeah, that's true.
Bob Varsha, what else are you looking forward today?
Well, we've talked about some of the great stories that this race has in store, particularly the McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari battle in the constructors. And now we have the resurgence of Mercedes to make it a 4-team battle again, which is very cool. But as always, the difference is going to be in the tires and the circuit. And we've seen straight through the weekend, some of the top names in Formula One sticking it in the fence. And this track will do that. Recall a year ago when George Russell tried so valiantly to run down Carlos Sainz by getting around Lando Norris, and he wound up crashing, did Russell, on the last lap of the race. So Singapore always has a bag of tricks in store. It's going to be fun watching them unfold today.
Hey, speaking of bag of tricks, I hope they
what's
have
going
one
on?
down at Aston Martin because the car, whose car is that, Jonathan?
18, I think that's Stroll's.
Lance Stroll's car is completely taken apart. The whole front end is off. The wheels are off. They're working on the brakes or suspension in the front of that car.
It's not good with 13 minutes to go.
Yeah, with 13 minutes, I don't know.
Oof.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let's have a look at what happens here. We're watching pictures here live. But something is not right with that car, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is...
They're showing us something, and something is not right with that car. Don't know what it is, but
It's
he's not
definitely
happy.
Stroll's car because I was just by Alonso's and it was fine.
Yeah, it's Stroll's car, and it looks as though it could be brake fluid or hydraulic or something. But they are looking at the wheel hub, the right front wheel hub of the car, and they've got the whole front nose cone off, and there are several mechanics working on the car.
Yeah, they got 3 on each wheel working on it because they're working on both sides.
So
actually.
you do need to take the nose off to be able to get to all the brake reservoirs and the brake system in the nose. So that's not unusual to have the nose off the car and the front wing off the car on the grid, although no one else has it at this point of the grid kind of period.
They got one guy inside the cockpit, I bet, hitting the brakes. So I bet this might be a brake thing.
Brake fluid thing, yeah.
They could be, they could be bleeding the brakes. We've seen that.
That's what it looks
before.
like, actually. It looks like they're bleeding the brakes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a little reservoir.
So I'm just making my way to the back of the grid to try and find that out. But I might get stopped if possible on the way. I will, because James Rowler's here between his 2 cars. James, your 2 cars so closely matched. Let's start with that. You've got yourself now 2 drivers who could get the maximum out of this machine, haven't you?
Yes.
Oh, he's going to make sure he doesn't get caught swearing. I can see what's happening here. You are live across North America, but they don't care if you swear. It's fine. Gunther once said the F word, or at least I thought he did. And I apologize. And he said he meant he would hug the whole paddock. I'll let your minds go there. So you're starting 11th and 12th. Tough to go forward and 2 Ferraris ahead. What's the game plan to try and get the points?
I mean, first and foremost, answering your previous question properly, it's great that both of these drivers are pushing each other on, and there's a lot more to come. I think, as importantly, I'm glad that we're delivering performance that is worthy of the drivers we have in the car as well. In front of us, 2 Ferraris, we've got to be realistic. We're not really racing them today, but the cars just in front of that, both of them, absolutely on the radar. We were fast on Friday. I think we've got a good chance today.
Is the hope then that as the Ferraris make their way through, that kind of disrupts them and creates opportunities?
I think you'll see that anyway. So definitely that's on the radar. We've got to be, it's Singapore. So we've had pretty much a safety car every year since 2008. Watch this space, but this race is decided by the ones that really maximize the opportunity.
And one of your mechanics earlier was pointing out some lightning in the distance as the grid was forming. I don't know, have you got rain on your radar?
Actually, before I came here, I hadn't. What I do know is there's threats of rain around. Simple as that. You were here the other night where you wouldn't want to be outside in that weather, and the risks are still there.
Yeah, track running in that was not fun, I can tell you that. But thanks for your time. Good luck today.
Huh. Nice. That was pretty funny that Vols answered with one word.
One word answer, yeah.
He's joining in the fun.
Yeah, I like it. Stay on topic.
It's another reason to like James Vowles. Did I call him Vols? I think
And I am now in view of Lance Stroll's car, and I can tell you that the nose is just going back on it. You're right, though. It's still pretty hectic down here, so that is not usual. Alpine are watching it closely because they've got cars behind Lance Stroll. Mike Crack's down here. I don't know if he'll answer a question, but I will try and see. He's just kind of done that half look where maybe not.
Hey,
may I ask Mike what the issue was with Lance's car? Say again? May I ask you what the issue was on Lance's car?
We had a small issue with the front brakes. We changed them. It's all fine now.
And everything fine now? Going back together?
All good.
Good luck today. There we go. What's the brakes?
There we go. And he didn't sound too stressed out, did he? Sound like,
I know these teams are so disciplined. We've talked about that in connection with the Haas team this weekend. But you still got to wonder, all these last second changes to the car. Is it going to be 100% when the driver puts his foot down?
I love the casualness. I mean, it's like, hi, this is NASA here. Yeah, we just had one problem with one of the rockets, but we're sorting it out.
That's right.
And you've only got 13 minutes.
Yeah.
No worries.
That's right.
Hey, speaking of Lance Stroll.
Hey, guys, I just...
Go ahead. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I was just going to say one thing we haven't talked about. Did you guys see the lizard on track in pre-practice 1?
Lap record.
There are 3. Yeah, well, I did research. There's 3 types of lizard, and they are protected species.
That's right.
So it's not like you can just go out there and, shoot the thing and haul it away. The biggest is the monitor lizard. I don't know what kind of lizard that was on the track, but it was big. Monitor lizards in Singapore can be found up to 3 meters in length.
Yeah, they can.
10-foot lizard. Can
Lock
you
your
imagine?
front door.
We talk about the furry critters in Montreal, the marmots or whatever they are. But that creature, especially when the track marshal started chasing it, it started, running. I mean, a complete dragon. Really amazing looking.
In fact, one of them, I think, is called the dragon lizard. I think it's called.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to talk about Lance Stroll. We're sitting here talking about all these one-word answers. Lance Stroll says, "I've been doing that for years."
Yeah, exactly. That's his MO.
That's his standard answer. Hey, we've got enough time.
That's right.
I want to play this clip from Lewis Hamilton after qualifying yesterday because it's a really great example of Lewis's new attitude and also a great example of the development race this year. Let's hear from Lewis Hamilton.
We arrived with a car that was massively understeery, and we just couldn't dial any in no matter what we did. Nothing changed. And made changes overnight, came here today, pretty much the same thing, and I was definitely shocked to see that we were still 1.2 seconds behind Lando again. And then we just kept our heads down, kept not giving up, and we made some more changes and got into this session, and it was like night and day. Such a big difference. Car was all of a sudden alive, and would go where I wanted to go. So it was looking really strong throughout qualifying, and I think obviously with the crash in Q3 made it difficult for all of us to put that final lap together. I think my lap was also nothing special. Very difficult to get the tires perfect and not overslide them. I had a lot of snaps, so I think with a better job, maybe we could have been front row with this guy, but I don't know whether or not we could have beaten him today. But still, really, really happy. I mean, just to be up here with these guys, great drivers. I've not been up here for a while, and qualifying has been a nightmare for quite a long time. So it feels great to be up here. I feel very, very grateful and very, very happy. And I think hopefully from here, George and I are on the second row, so hopefully from here we can apply pressure to these two and to even be ahead of another McLaren, another Red Bull, and also the Ferraris is mega, considering how fast the Ferraris particularly are here. So yeah, I hope that we can hold on to these guys tomorrow.
What I love about the start of this race is that you've got both Hamilton and Verstappen who really are surprised to be where they are.
Yeah.
If you've watched the whole weekend, you'll know that they are slip sliding around, and they've never had it together. And Hamilton's lap was just out of the top drawer. Like you said, they're 1.2 seconds behind in the morning, and then he goes out and qualifies, and he's up there. Same for Verstappen. I don't think they expected to be there. That was a top draw lap.
Yeah.
And so it really does remain to be seen just how competitive both those cars will be in race trim.
Yeah, and it's a microcosm of the whole season,
game,
right?
Going 61 laps. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing the development that's been going on this year. It's crazy. It's just amazing watching these teams. And here we're sitting here watching it all happen in one session for Lewis Hamilton. Arrives in the car.
Did you notice during that clip with Lewis, which sounded like he was saying his prayers? He mentioned being up front with the Sauber.
Oh, I missed that. No.
McLaren.
No. What were you going to say, Chris?
I was going to say that actually a sign of how, I think, unsure but focused Mercedes are today is that they sent around a message not to speak to any of their drivers on the grids. They said the preparation's so intense, the schedules are intense.
Wow.
Don't get in their way today. Sometimes they'll do that for one driver, but rarely. That's the first time I've seen that message come around from them. And I just feel like they think there's a big opportunity, but whatever they've been working on, they're not certain either. There's just something, I don't know. We've seen Mercedes be so up and down. I think they really think they've got a big chance today and they want to take advantage. But also just finally, I did try and get both Lenny Kravitz and Kylie Minogue as we were walking down the pit lane. And I didn't manage to get either of them, but I did walk clean into the back of a Formula One cameraman while trying to look to see if I could catch Kylie Minogue's eye. So this is radio. You don't get to see that, but I will admit my error. I have to apologise.
We've seen you on TV already.
Trying to film someone else.
Yeah, we saw you walking behind Jamie Chadwick.
You'll be in the next episode of.
Yeah, Drive to Survive. That's right. You'll be on there.
I'm here.
Do you have a black eye, Chris?
You'll be on Drive to Survive.
No, I'm good. I just about kind of like hugged the guy to stop myself like plowing into him. So he didn't break stride. He was just focused on who he was filming, which was definitely I can tell you. He then got a hug with Kylie Minogue.
It's that time, boys and girls. Let's get our picks in. Johnny, you want to start?
Oh, crikey.
Somebody had to.
Norris is going to win this race.
Okay. Anybody else you want to pick your top three?
Verstappen, Russell.
Okay. Mr. Varsha.
I agree with Jonathan. It'd be Norris, Verstappen, and Hamilton.
All right.
I'll go so Chris can have the last word. I'm going to say Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen. Chris Medland.
More importantly, when's the safety car coming out? I say lap 14.
Okay. I'll say lap.
Chris
9.
is getting his hug from Kylie Minogue.
Chris, well, go ahead, Chris. You're dropping out. You made it to the last minute of the show. he doesn't get his pick in because his signal dropped out with 1 minute to go.
He's being smart.
Yeah, he's going to tell us what he chose after the race, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, we are down to that 30 seconds here, so make sure you stay right here for the race. BBC coverage is going to get you all caught up for the race, but of course, we will be back right after the race with our full post show. And I always say 1 hour post show, but it's usually longer than an hour because we start right after the race. And write the phone number down because we want to hear your take on the race afterwards. 512-643-5483. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Enjoy the race, and we'll talk to you right after.